Hello, living lifers. Today, we're shooting a video of Casa Mila or La Pedrera. So La Pedrera and or Casa Mila is a house that was built by famous Spanish architect Antoni Gaudí. Antoni Gaudí was a very unique individual. Um, so if you ever go to Spain, you're gonna be hearing about the Gaudi houses. But the Gaudi houses are not his houses that he lived in. Those are houses that he designed. He was the architect. Uh, just Gaudi was a very unique individual. This guy, I mean, just vision and forethought. And as you can see in some of the photos and the video, his his inspiration was nature. There was nothing like nature for Gaudi. Nature, the tree had the strongest structure. You know, everything he did was for spatial feel and look. He wanted everything to be natural. Nature was his muse. He would go out and just look and observe things, and so you can see that in the design of his houses and also in the church that we'll be looking at the church later. Casa Mila was commissioned by Rosario Segimon and her husband Joseph Guardiola. Joseph Guardiola was a very rich man. He eventually died, and the home later changed names to Casa Mila. It was La Pedrera. But after the death of Rosario's first husband, she inherited his money and married another man named Pere Mila, hence the name Casa Mila. It changed from La Pedrera to Casa Mila, but it's synonymous for both names. Very, very interesting.
Got a personal photographer.
Mhm.
That's the last time.
No, it's not.
Oh, yeah, it is.
You just started.
No, you.
But we got to get the other
Here, we'll get on the angle.
side.
Yeah, go.
The other
Go
side.
ahead. Casa Mila was a very unique home. When it was being constructed, could you imagine this wealthy neighborhood and a house coming up that looks like basically natural materials? It doesn't look like any house around. It's the balconies look like they're animals. They're animal skeletons. The home itself looks like it's directly from a quarry without being refinished. And Gotti wanted you to actually touch the structure. So if you when you do the tour, you'll go on the roof. He encouraged people to touch it, and he knew eventually over time that that structure would wear out. Just from people touching on it. But like I said, nature was his muse, and he really did the best that he could in this home, which is beautiful. We're on the roof now, and on the roof you have phenomenal views. You have to imagine the time when this house was constructed, and this building being a tall building. This was very unique to me because these people were rich people, and I was wondering why. So they had like the second floor was their residence, and the remainder of the building had about 20 apartments in it, and he had a crazy attic. The attic is huge, which we'll have photos of later. But so he had 20 apartments, and remember this place is in a very you know affluent area, and so the folks that rented these apartments, and apartments came in various sizes, they were wealthy people as well. I just didn't get it. I mean, today a wealthy person doesn't really share his or her residence with tenants, although these tenants were wealthy people in Barcelona. I still didn't get it, and it was just explained to me that they generated a revenue from renting these apartments. And to this day, there is still one tenant in the apartments, which I found amazing. It just floored me that there's still someone that lives in basically a museum. So now we are in the attic, and you can see the attic has all the arches and curves. This building, by the way, this house has no structural walls. Everything is done by arches. And Gaudie was a phenomenal architect, and he had to see everything. He had to see what it looked like before he installed it. So he would put a series of mirrors throughout the structure as he's constructing it, and he would suspend things from the ceiling, but he would view it from the mirror below. Very unique individual. I wonder if he was a little autistic, but because we know autistic people are they have phenomenal minds and they see things a little differently than we see them. But this house was shunned by the neighborhood, and now it is viewed as one of his prolific works of art, Gaudie that is. It's just a beautiful home, and I was amazed by the apartments inside the house. You're not allowed to see the main residence, but you can see the apartments, and the video was a little dark in the apartments, so that's why we don't have a lot of video of the apartment.
Great tour. It was good.
So, as you heard my wife say, what a great tour, and she's absolutely correct. It was a great tour. The apartments, like I said, they were amazing. You had bedrooms that was for servants, and then off of those bedrooms, you had a nursery for the babies. And then all the way on the other side of the apartment, after your great room and your dining room, great room was used for dancing and entertaining. On the complete opposite side of the apartment, which was really large, was the master bedroom. I thought it was amazing that the master bedroom was so far away from the children's area, the children's rooms, the nursery. Some of the apartments, they did have like a bassinet in the master bedroom for babies, but most of the apartments, the parents were far away from the children, which I thought was pretty interesting. And this was a unique building too because it had an open courtyard, as you can see. And the gate that my wife and daughter stand in front of, and I'm standing in front of, that actually was the gate into the open courtyard, which had a garage below grade. So this ends the tour of Casa Mila. We are now headed to the church, La Sagrada Familia. So stay tuned.
Boy, I was like, boy, you know she about to take herself to Louis Vuitton. And I'm a producer on commercials. I didn't part of it.
Wine of house, I may have to go there too.
Oh no. Sir Sam, you're gonna have to make a lot more videos.
Just sit down, enjoy myself. Wala ako dyan ako. Sorry, Familia. We are here in Barcelona. Barcelona. I love to put the I in it. Awesome. Yeah. My family is lost. That's
He
normal.
said it's on the entrance side. They're in a cab. He said about 5 minutes.
Oh, they're about
The
5 minutes?
entrance.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you when you get here. Thanks.
This is it then.
Okay, let's go.
Sweet.
They're in a cab right now. Running late. He's there about 5 minutes. See?
Follow him wherever he may go.
Good morning.
So you follow Dr. Lee?
Where you stand?
Yeah, so our daughter, she's right there.
Is that where?
Yeah, she might be a little old. I mean, she may be, same age, about the same age. They were in the same grade.
She must be stressed now because the other one is getting married too.
I don't know.
Oh, that's right. The video. I don't want to go getting ready to go out to breakfast. It's gonna be my advocate. Oh, I'm gonna make it on the video. Madison, I'm already making it on the video.
He's making it on the video. He's making a
It's
cut.
happening.
Let's see. Let me see who was that over there.
That's Madison. Madison got it.
Madison's
No, it'll be edited.
It'll be edited. We'll edit that one out, Madison.
And the boy is your son? The very tall one?
Oh, her boyfriend.
Ah, her boyfriend.
Yeah. Her daughter's boyfriend. The Sagrada Familia is definitely one of Gaudie's greatest works. Gaudie was actually the second architect to work on the project, and the symbolism that is in La Sagrada Familia is unbelievable. It's way too much for me to give you on video. You need to read up on it. Go Google La Sagrada Familia. The building basically represents all the books of the Bible, which is pretty interesting. You know, the birth of Christ to the, Judas, him going against Christ, selling Christ out, the crucifixion of Christ. It is a phenomenal structure, and it's still under construction today. Someone was able to build an apartment next door to it, and so it kind of stopped construction of the facility. As you can see, there's still cranes there, but there's so much symbolism, you will not get it all. It's no way for you to get it all. If you do take this tour, which I highly recommend, like I said, it's one of the greatest structures in Barcelona, hire a tour guide. Get in a group. I mean, we're in a group, so we're able to have the person who's narrating, Tate. Tate's awesome, by the way. If you guys are interested in a tour, she is unbelievable. She has a doctorate. This is her business. She knows exactly what she's talking about. And some of the things that we learned, I was just floored. This building is phenomenal. And it represents, it has a representation of sunrise and sunset. And you will see the different colors. And all that stuff has symbolism much more detail than I would like to get into on this video. I'm still just floored by what I learned. Gaudie, he did not see the church completed. He passed before that. He was in his mid to late 70s when he died. He was starting to go deaf. His hearing was going. And as Gaudie was leaving work one day, he got hit by a trolley. And since he dressed, like a lay person, a blue-collar person, if you will, blue-collar worker, they put him in a hospital, with commoners and poor people. And 3 days later, he died in the hospital. Now, the tragic thing about this story is if Gaudie would have had received good medical care, he may have lived. But he passed. And, to commemorate Gaudie, they brought his body back to this church. And he's actually buried here in the church. And we'll show that to you a little bit later. But as you can see here, see the different colors? That represents the sun setting. And that means something spiritually. Remember I talked about the Gaudie house? They just showed a mirror. That mirror was for looking up and seeing the structure. This little pathway leads to the altar. It leads to the temple. So parishioners would follow that and you would end up at the altar. Tate told us something that was very interesting, very unique. The church does not really believe in having women in authority. And also, and this is the tomb of Gaudie, and also they've also lost a lot of Spaniards as church members. So there really aren't many Spanish priests. If you look, a lot of priests are African or they're from elsewhere, but they're not from Spain. So the church is definitely, this is the Roman Catholic Church, they're hurting. They are. So this will end the tour of La Sagrada Familia, the famous church that Gaudie was very inspirational in creating. Please remember, like and subscribe. We have a lot more content coming. I think one more video from Spain, and then we are moving to Santorini, Greece. This is Living Life. Remember to keep living and enjoying life. We'll see you at the next video.